Ooh, you went to the North Pole.
Yep, yep. My son and I got on the Polar Express. Took a quick little trip up to the North Pole to see Santa. It was a pretty good time. Very exciting, very enjoyable.
A lot
I
of
was kind of impressed, honestly, with how absolutely bonkers it was.
yeah, we did that. We did that one time. Actually, we did it a couple of different times. We did it once. We took off from Saratoga, that train station. Did that one. That one was wild. Like they had like elves, actual elves and stuff. it was it was pretty wild. You felt like you were like arriving in the North Pole. But the one in Burlington is better because like you get there and then it's like you come into the train station and it's like Santa Claus is there, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. They had, and because all the kids have the name tags on, you've got the elves that are there calling, oh, Merry Christmas, Johnny. Welcome to the North Pole, Sally.
Yeah, yeah.
And right when we got off the train, too, it started snowing. So it just felt like, okay, we're here. It's magic.
That's wild, dude. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun time.
Yeah, it was
Let's
great.
sing. Did they still read the story the
Oh,
night
yeah.
before Christmas? And yeah, they did all that. Yeah.
They read Polar Express. We went
Oh,
up, he got his picture taken with Santa, and then we just took off from there. Uh,
nice.
but yeah, I mean, they had carolers, they had, we had cocoa and cookies on the train, and some nice Lake Champlain chocolate. It was a great time, super
Good,
enjoyable, and I'm
good
pretty
deal.
sure it benefits a charity too, and I can never remember the name of it, like the Vermont Children's something or other.
I thought it was a Vermont Children's Hospital that they used to do. I don't know if it's true anymore because like one of our surgeons was like one of the head elves. He or not the head elf. He was like the train conductor. But
Oh,
one of our vascular
oh,
surgeons. But
Vermont
yeah,
Children's Trust. That's what it is.
Vermont Children's Trust. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, how
Well,
about
anyway,
you?
I don't know. I got my new well, not new, but I've got a quarter zip on like all the cool kids are wearing now.
Nice.
Lucas
Was
is
it cool?
like Lucas is like, I got a quarter zip last week. Amy bought him a quarter zip. Like, I guess that's the cool thing now. He's like, I got a quarter zip, and I'm like, dude, I have armies of quarter zips. They were really, really cool in the mid 2000s.
Back in my day.
So I pulled them out, man. Now they're cool to wear again. I'll wear them. Why the hell not?
No, we're hip now. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah, dads, we're hip dads.
But hey, it's I'm looking at my watch here, and I think there's a question that needs to be asked, Mike.
Oh yeah, you want to do a podcast?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Let's do it.
What time is it?
It's time for Wicked Spursy.
Hey, this is Wicked Spursy. Mike and Steve in his house, as they used to say back in my day. Um, yeah, here we are, a phenomenal Sunday evening, ready to talk some Spurs. Mike, how you feeling today? How are we doing?
Dude, I'm absolutely fucking miserable. My football team sucks.
I know that.
Uh, my football team sucks. I just got over like this 4-day virus thing, which really sucked. And I had to. So Lucas is going to Holland. Just found out I won't be going with him, but that's another story for another
Those
time.
bastards.
I know I didn't get chosen. Um, but I'm also co-chairing the fundraising committee. So I had to go to Newport in an with a U-Haul to pick up 300 Christmas wreaths. And then when I
As I
got
say,
back, I had to sort them all into individual orders, right? Freaking out because we had way too many. There were like too many of one type, and then like then I finally found like there was one order sheet that didn't get passed in, so I had to like go back and like the next morning I had to bring it down to far post and get that all settled out, and we went through all of the orders that I packed the night before, and that took me like 7 hours to pack. Not seven, but it was like four. And we went through every single one of them to make sure they were right, and I only transposed 2 wreaths. So in the end, like, we got them all off. We are only missing 4 wreaths, two different wreaths from the same order, two of two from the same
All
order. So
right.
4 wreaths in the end, and then we had like 4 left over. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I emailed the lady, and we'll see what happens. She hasn't gotten back to me since Saturday, but it was right down there where the craft show is too.
Oh yeah.
That was all happening. I got screamed at by some lady in the parking lot for trying to bring a U-Haul through. I I basically told her, I was like, I don't care how I do it. I'm getting this U-Haul in there. So I went through the back way and I snuck in.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah,
Hey,
man, it
sometimes you got
was
to do what you got to do.
yeah, and I was not feeling well. But you know what happened? You know what happened today? My football
What
team
happened
sucks,
today?
but or no, it was also yesterday. Was it yesterday or today? No, it was today.
Time's
This morning. It
meaningless.
was this morning because I had to bring Lucas to practice for 7:30 this morning. I got to sit there and watch the F1 race, and my guy Lando won. The
Calrissian?
He won the world championship.
Of course
What's
he
what?
did.
Yeah, of course he did. He drives for McLaren. He's number 4.
No,
He's my guy
Millennium
Lando.
Falcon.
The yes, correct. The
Yeah.
Millennium Falcon.
There we go. We got
Yeah.
this. Nailed
So
it.
yeah, I mean that was good. And yesterday, Spurs won.
Yes, there was a Spurs game yesterday, and shockingly, to me at least, we won. Well, okay, the result in and of itself wasn't super shocking. It was, what should have happened, right?
Right.
What was shocking is that we played well. And I am genuinely like, well, why the fuck couldn't you have done that this whole time?
Yeah, right. I mean,
It's
yeah,
not like it was that much different, right? Like there was a minimal rotation. Um, a lot of the same sort of negative players had been out there, but they put in positive performances. The whole team really put in positive performances. It just blows my mind that we can see that, and it there was nothing fancy, right? There wasn't some kind of tactical genius at play. There wasn't anything that hasn't been seen before. It was just well executed game plan, aggressive from the first whistle, and we get a result.
I mean, obviously I had to rewatch because I was kind of in the midst of doing all those wreaths and stuff. But I mean, it honestly feels like the sun has come out. We looked like an actual functional soccer team, right? Um,
Yeah,
Still a little suspicious. Something's just not right because we're like winning at home. That doesn't feel right. Um,
we
maybe
didn't
he
gift 2
maybe
goals.
he thought he was Brentford playing Spurs,
Ah.
or maybe he thought he was still coach. I don't know what was going on. But let's get into it a little bit. Like, I mean, go
Because
through
it
the
was
first
night and
half a
day
little
from
bit.
Newcastle, man. Like, I mean, I didn't see very many, if any, individual errors. Um,
I mean, Bentancur is like still kind of like cowardly line.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, but I mean, even he looked better against Brentford than against Newcastle.
I think when you have a situation where everybody is kind of clicking, like Spence looked great. Um, Spence looked really good. Kudus was like fucking outrageous most of the game. He was kind of all places everywhere. Archie Gray was uh like that was some of the best play I've seen from Archie Gray yet. But man, we were just all over them. The pressing like was like a choke out type of a press. And they kind of actually like let us play onto them, right? A lot of the game.
Yeah.
I barely recognized who this team was the entire time. It kind of like from the first second of the match, you could kind of see the intent. Like Shafi, like honestly, he played maybe like he was just like one of those radio controlled cars that you have to plug in and charge. He was
Yep.
just running out of charge, and somebody
Dude,
plugged him
that
back in, and he
goal
was
he
just like,
scored was just incredible.
dude.
Very well taken.
It wasn't just him though. Like the midfield, like super tidy for the most part. Other than Bendiker kind of being, like I said, cowardly. Like he presses really, really well. His off the ball movement's always been pretty good. Um, but Brentford barely had a sniff at the goal, right? I mean, which has been kind of rare this season because usually we have, like you said, some sort of fucking individual error that ends up costing us dearly, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
Romero giving the ball away, whether it's Poro making a poor decision defensively, um, or whether it's our goalkeeper
Vicario.
handling the ball out in the fucking corner stick. You
Yeah.
know, it felt like it was just a little bit different for me. Um,
Yeah.
what I thought, like outside of like his goals, Xavi's goal was the pass that he made to Richie, and Richie actually like being there. Because lots
Yeah.
of times you see Richie like he's just maybe a half a step behind or a step behind.
I mean, that I think is one of the big differences between Brentford versus Newcastle, right? Newcastle, if we got into that attacking third, you couldn't find anybody in the box. There was nobody around. But this time you had, your striker making that crashing run into the box, and there you go. 1-0.
Yeah, and it hit real fast too. It felt like it hit real fast. I mean, it was the 20th minute, 25th minute, something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it looked like it just hit real fast and real hard, and it was like for like what was essentially a tap in from a fucking absolutely clean pass was like 1,000 miles per hour. Like it looked like a train wreck. I thought Richie was gonna fly through the back of the fucking goal, and he kind of just skirted off to the side after he put it in. But like Richie's kind of in his zone again, right? Like he has these spots where he's just kind of like he gets into his zone, then he disappears, then he gets into his zone, and then he gets injured, and then he,
I saw
I mean,
something, a stat. I think it said he has scored 17 goals in his last 24 starts for Spurs. But you got to remember, right? Like World Cup's coming up next year, and he is desperate to make the squad for Brazil. So I do think that we're going to see some very bright moments from him throughout the rest of the season. The consistency is the big question mark, right? But I think if he stays fit and healthy, and he can keep getting some of these goals in must win type games. And it's kind of ridiculous that I'm calling Brentford a must win game, but when morale is that low, you need to win that. Um, because that's just going to raise everybody's spirits. They're all going to feel a lot better. And look at who we'll talk about Prague a little later, but that's another opportunity to kind of build on that momentum. So I'm happy for him. I'm glad he got that goal, and I'm ecstatic for Xavi, who, like, that is why we bought him. That's what we want to see.
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, um, so what do you think, like tactically, what changed? Because we've been bitching and moaning about it for weeks, right? But like yesterday it just kind of everything kind of clicked. Like what was it? The fact that we were a little more structured, we had like a little bit more balance through the midfield, or was it like Shafi just kind of maybe just figured it out, or was it the defense, like, or was it like a combination of all of it?
I think there's two main things. First and foremost, we actually showed up to play, and you know that I think you can't really discredit that because the last couple of games it's been slow, lethargic. nobody seems to want to be there. And this is the first game in the last few where I can look at the players and think, all right, everybody seems like they're at least up for trying. Um, so there's that. I think the other piece that did play into it is that Brentford just weren't as aggressive. They weren't pressing nearly as much as like a Newcastle were. They weren't trying to force very many errors. They were making errors themselves. So I think it was like the culmination of those two things coming together was like the perfect scenario to get Spurs back into it. And the fact that it was a home game too, and you could get the fans behind you. Um, like I said, it's silly to call Brentford a must-win game, especially at the start of December, but it kind of was. It was necessary. The fans were turning on the team at home for good reason, lack of results. Frank was on a hot seat, so there was a necessity to show up and perform, and they did it, and they took advantage of Brentford's own cowardice and really ran with it. Would it have been different if we were playing a different team? Like if we had replayed that Newcastle game, I think it probably would have been different. Even with the different team, even with some additional pressing, I just feel like the players showed up and were ready for it. But it does beg the question, Mike. We didn't go a goal behind. So is there a mentality aspect to it? Are we just that mentally fragile where as soon as we go behind, everybody shuts down?
Look, I think it's been one of those. That's been one of those questions that we've been asking for years. Is right, like in order for a team to be a good team, you got to have good players, right? You have to have the right system. You have to have, you know, that's what you need to win. But to be a champion, you have to have mental toughness too. And we've been, like I said, we've been asking that question for years of this club, not necessarily this team, because it's like we don't have Son, we don't have Prince Harry of Kane, we don't have Christian Eriksen. That cast of characters is gone, Jan and Toby. Like those, we did that clean out that we thought we needed, got Eric Dyer out of there, got Hoiberg out of there. And still we see the mental fragility um of these clubs, and sure, like it can create um it, it can create problems down the line, right? um and it is kind of an infectious type of a thing that happens. Is like one guy gets mentally down on himself, makes a mistake which costs a game, and then everybody else starts to catch on and go downhill, and like it's hard to pick each other up when you get into a funk like that. But like I think when you see how that game ended against Newcastle, I really felt like that was actually the turning point. I don't know if Xavi was the turning point. Like when you watch a team come back and fight the way they did to get that draw in Newcastle in St. James Park too, which we need to talk about, because like that's not an easy place to play, right?
No, and for me, I think the biggest disappointment isn't it's not the result necessarily. It's just the stupid fucking mistakes, man. It's
Yeah.
consistent across coaches, across uh personnel. For whatever reason, we always just end up with a couple of players who just mentally shut off and
And that's that mental toughness that we talk about in order to be a champion. You can't be a champion unless you have that mental toughness, and it's over the course of a season. So, like, you have to be able to be one, guy gets injured, next man up. Two, you have to be able to have um, the ability to shake off a loss, to shake off a stupid mistake in a game. It starts at the bottom and goes all the way to the top, to the big issues, right?
yeah. And I mean, the other thing about that is when it comes to the mentality, I'm not asking for perfection game in, game out. That's just, it's not human, right? Humans make mistakes. It happens. it's the frequency and the consistency of these mistakes with, even just 4 or 5 players that really makes it difficult, right? And I at that level, I mean, my son's 5 years old, and when he's at, practice and, doing his activities, it's always like, "Buddy, you gotta be locked in, you gotta be focused, you gotta be paying attention." And that's at 5. These guys are, 20 years older, plus or minus a few, right? And like, is this still something that needs to be said? Why isn't this coming up during, training, during the various sessions that they have? Do we not have a therapist or something on staff for these players? Like, and that's a legitimate question because, we were lucky to talk. What was that, last season, 2 seasons ago, with those professionals, the doctors, from the various teams, where we had,
Oh, from the gentleman from Notre Dame
yeah.
was yeah.
And we were telling them, like, is that a thing? And it's still new. It's not something that's everybody's got it. We've all got, every club has, in-house mental health stuff. Um, and a lot of the players, I mean, I still remember Richarlison talking about how, it took him a while to go because he culturally, it just wasn't something that was top of mind, right? So I do think that there's, a need for it, especially if you want to compete for, the league, for Champions League. You really ought to have a skilled and qualified, therapist, psychiatrist, whatever, and make it so that the players have to see them, whether they need it or not. I do think there's some value in just having somebody that you can talk to and, hey, you know what, the fans have been getting on our backs. It's really hard to work in that environment, because for us as the fans, the easy solution is just, well, fucking show up and perform. Then we wouldn't boo you, you know. But that's not exactly the healthy way to cope with that. And it's one of those easier said than done things. But yeah, I mean, there's a culture of it, right? It's not something that Frank has brought on. We've had mentality issues for years. It's just something that I think, as an organization, it needs to be addressed, from the top down. Um, I don't know what that looks like or how to solve for it, but something's got to be done about it because the second something goes wrong, the team cannot shut off. There needs to be a rally. There needs to be, somebody out there. The one thing I did like, and I hope you saw it too, was Xavi was up there trying to get the crowd going, and I think it was the was it the Newcastle game that we were talking about, in our podcast last week, where I was saying, like, that's what you're going to see from Newcastle's fans, them hyped up and ready to go. And we just don't see that at home. And it was nice to get one of our players trying to raise the level of the atmosphere.
Yeah, dude, like he I, I- we saw glimpses of the player that we thought we were getting, right? And we had said previously that his performances were getting better and better. For one reason or another, he got benched basically for some games. He became a super sub or whatever he was supposed to do. But the guy, like, he just elevates the whole tempo, right? Like his first touch, his awareness, his bravery to do things on the ball that, like, a lot of Spurs haven't had recently. Like, the dude always wants the ball, and that second goal, second goal is something that we've been kind of missing since maybe since like prime. I'm going to say a prime Delhi. Um, someone who could just kind of make magic things happen. I'm not trying to compare the two players because they're completely different players, but we haven't had players who are brave and who just want to take chances the way that he does. And maybe it's a little because he's young and he's naive, but like sometimes you just need guys to try and do things.
Yeah, and there is that, I think, is a coaching thing, right? I do get the impression that Frank wants them to be a bit more conservative at times in their approach, and it shows badly. Um, we're not a team that sits back and absorbs pressure and tries to counterattack. It will work in the odd game, and we've seen it work in the odd game. But Spurs DNA is to dares to do, right? Like you have to get out there. You have to be assertive. You can't just piss around, walk up and down the field and hope something happens. It's never going to happen, and that's not what fans want to see. Especially, there's so many factors about it. There's the prices, there's the travel, some people coming from different areas to see the team. You don't expect people to be happy paying that much money to see garbage, right? So the environment that we saw on Saturday, that is, ideally we would build on that within the stadium, but that's not just fans, right? That comes down to the team too. The team needs to get out there and consistently put on performances like that, make the home a fortress. I still remember, the last season at White Hart Lane where that place was a fortress.
Yeah, we couldn't be beat. Yeah.
Absolutely. But now all of a sudden it's, one of the best stadiums in the world and we can't make it our own. Like that, something needs to change. And it's the product for me, the product being the football on the pitch. That's what needs to change. Hopefully this was a wake-up call and we'll see much more aggressive play. But I don't know. I feel like at the start of the season, we were praising the aggressive play and how great we looked. And okay, we're just, we're this close to everything clicking and we're going to be on fire. And then we just had a slump.
Yeah, I mean,
And
so when we're looking at this, what does this win mean, right? I mean, because this wasn't just beating Brentford. In my estimation, I think this is, I mean, and obviously we have to build on this, right? But like, this is the first home league win since like super early in the season, right? It's been fucking just completely miserable.
yeah, I mean, in
Stadium
isolation,
is always, like we said last week, has been tense. Not really into the games. Fan base has been super fractious. We saw some terrible fucking treatment of Kudus walking off the pitch after he gave a kid his shirt, and some guy videoing him and screaming at him, "Nobody wants your shirt, you suck," and like, so obviously the fans are pissed off. They're paying money. They want to see a good product out there. Nobody wants to go to see the big new hit movie and walk out of the theater going, "Man, that fucking sucked," right? Like, we want we want Christian Bale Batman. We don't want fucking Ben Affleck Batman, right?
yeah,
So I think this has the ability to kind of settle everyone, players, the manager, the fans. It shows the plan isn't really dead, that the players are still kind of bought into it. Like it just needed a little bit of confidence and to build on that confidence, right? It stops the rot a little bit. Um, it's a little bit of Rust-Oleum, on that little spot of rot.
I mean, for me, in isolation, it does nothing, right? It's a positive result. We can feel good about it, but nothing is going to fundamentally change until we string a few of those together. It's, if you think about the stadium atmosphere, it's like Hugo back at the end, right? The big tug ship that you're trying, or the big ship you're trying to turn, the school bus, whatever you want to call it. It's going to take time. It's going to take consistent performances before the atmosphere is much less toxic. And it's not even just this season, right? This is something that extends throughout the whole calendar year into last season. Um, Fans do not want to settle for 4 wins out of 27. That's just not good enough. When you can get several in a row, then we can start talking about, okay, well, maybe now we're building on that. And maybe now we've got an atmosphere that people can that opposition teams can fear.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's not going to happen in a one-off. It
eh,
never will.
right? No, yeah, you need momentum, and like I said, I think the real turning point was the end of that match. Against Newcastle. I think you need to keep that momentum, and I think that was the turning point. And I think this game was the beginning of the turning point. I'm hoping it was like because like in this league, in the Prem, you need runs in this league. You don't one single win doesn't it doesn't fix everything, but like you get two or three in a row and suddenly you're climbing the table, everybody's like happy again. You're getting players back through the holiday season, I mean, players that can make a difference, and then before you know it, you're right back in the hunt, and you've got squad depth, you've got confidence that you're building on. You're able to use certain players for certain tactics that you want to put out there against certain teams the way that you couldn't before. Um, and I think that's really super important, and it's a big part of what can make a successful season.
It's kind of funny. I'm thinking about it, right? Like Spurs, we want to go and watch the team be aggressive, take risks, and get results. But at the same time, look at what happened to Ange, right? 17th place finish. It was exciting and aggressive, sure, but 17th isn't good enough. So all of a sudden it's, well, now you also have to be defensive and keep clean sheets and, get those points. So I almost wonder if there is that kind of conflict, right? Where Frank wants to button things up defensively and be conservative and steady things. But he hasn't quite figured out the balance yet. And I don't know. I hope he does. I really do. I don't want to wish anybody to fail. But at the same time, you know, it isn't a one off that's going to do it. Like just because we got a draw at Newcastle and a win at Brentford doesn't mean that I'm sold on Frank again, right? Like for me, he's in the hot seat still. He needs to prove over a couple more games that what he's doing is paying dividends because right now it's not. Um, and kind of going along with that. Hey, Mike, what you drinking?
Mm, I knew it that time.
Ah,
What are we gonna do today, Steve? Let's do
what
something.
are we gonna do?
Nah, nobody knows. All right,
I'm
I got
excited to see though.
I got a lager. I got a
A
lager.
lager,
Yep. Um, this one's called Light Cone. We haven't done this one, right?
light cone,
It's by a brewery called Grimm.
grim.
Correct.
Grim, like the Brothers Grimm or like the Grim Reaper?
Maybe both. I don't know
Why
much
does it
about
have
this
an extra
brewery.
M?
I don't know much about this brewery. I know it's in Brooklyn. I've had some of their beers before. There's a cool little bottle shop in Penn Station in New York City in the train station that I like to go to every time I go to New York City. I come home with some beers from this bottle shop. It's a great little bottle shop. That and I get some Jacob's pickles too because there's a Jacob's pickle stand in Penn Station as well. But this beer comes from Brooklyn. It's called Light Cone. It's got a cool kind of like can, like a little prism thing. Um, but it's just a plain old Pilsner, 5% Pilsner.
5% Pilsner, huh?
It smells like a Pils, man. It's
Hmm.
likely to be crisp, clean, smell a little bready, get a little sweetness on the back end of it. Um, lagers are clear beers. The way that they're brewed, they're fermented at colder temperatures. So like all the shit in there just kind of drops out of it and lands on the bottom, and then they run it through a bright tank, and it's look what a beautiful looking beer, man.
That is a really nice color.
Yeah, it really, really is. And it smells like a pilsner. It smells like it's like super, super sweet. And I know it's going to be heavily carbonated, lower on the hops, um, and higher on the kind of drinkability scale. I mean, like a lot of these big heavy IPAs are hard to drink a bunch. Like this is going to be a sessionable beer. Like I said, 5% alcohol, straight up 5% alcohol. Nothing fancy about this. It just says keep cold and drink now. So
Hey, look, I'm not one to, not listen to direction. So if it says drink now, Mike, you better drink it now. He did it.
yeah, it looked real good. Um, it's really bitter. For a pilsner, I mean, you want a pilsner to be sweet. You want to have it a clean finish. This beer bites you. It's got like a weird bitterness to it, and I'm not really into it, man. Um, I'm gonna give it another shot. I don't know if it's me or but I mean, it has all the hallmarks of a pilsner. It looks nice. It smells really good. Um, I don't know. It's just oddly bitter, and I'm not. It's not as crisp and smooth as a pilsner should be. Like a pilsner should be one of those beers where you can just slam it down. It just has like I think it's just trying too hard.
It's trying too hard. I don't know if it's that bitter. Maybe it needs to be visited by a couple of ghosts this season. 3 of them, perhaps.
What's very funny is I was watching this YouTube video on the best versions of that movie, and we can get into that as we
Ooh, that's a
get
good
closer to
one.
the holiday season. I
I
mean,
love that too.
do you like the Christmas Carol movie?
I do.
Do you have a favorite version of it?
I do.
Is it Muppets?
No, that is a favorite, but
Because Michael Caine plays that part straight.
it works well. The songs are bangers. I mean, it is an incredible movie. But if I'm thinking like, no jokes, just the story um, as it is without, any kind of gimmicks like that. Um, my favorite is the one with Alistair Sim,
Like what is it, 54, 51, 54, somewhere in there?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, mine is George C. Scott from '84. That one, I think it phenomenal performance. Like, I think either one of those is fine to keep as your top. Some people have said in the past the one with Patrick Stewart, which was the made for TV one, which is fine. Patrick Stewart's a great actor. I just prefer
Sure.
him in sci-fi movies, but
Just not that. What wasn't there one with Jim Carrey? Am I making that up?
no, no, no. That movie was very, very like true to the book. That was like that kind of half motion capture animation that
Yeah, that was weird though.
yeah, it
Ah,
it is
man.
it was kind of weird, but
Now I've got Marley and Marley stuck in my head.
sorry about the detour on this, but Grim, yeah, the Grim Pilsner light cone Pilsner. Um
It's a
I'm drinking it.
grim rating from me, I think.
From yours truly as well. I'm gonna drink the rest of this, but
I'm ready when you are. Give it to us, and I'll let you know.
2.4.
Oh wow, even lower than I thought. I gave it the 2.8.
Oh, really, man? It's just fucking. It's
Well,
not
it's no
setting well.
Miller. High
It's
life.
definitely it's definitely not a high life. I just don't. I'm not a no. ugh, I'm not a fan, dude.
Yikes.
It's the
Well,
Davinson Sanchez of beers.
ooh, big yikes. How's he doing these days? Is he still playing in Turkey?
Sure.
I have not heard of him.
Speaking of turkeys, let's get it back into the little Spurs talk. This has
Oh
been Hey
yeah.
Mike was drinking. Speaking of turkeys, how about our boy Basuma trying to get himself fucking fired?
Oh my god. Dude, this is
Dude, I'm not even convinced. Like, I'm convinced that he's just trying to get himself fired, and that's not a nitrous balloon.
I I don't know, man.
He's
He's
like,
one
what
of these
can get me in
players.
trouble to the point where they cancel my contract?
He's just one of these players who like feels like his ability, his natural ability should be enough and doesn't want to really put the effort in otherwise. And
Yeah.
I fucking hate players like that. And it's something that I stress in my son too. Like if you're naturally talented at something, it doesn't mean you stop working at it. You keep showing up and you keep trying to improve.
I
You,
don't even know if that's it for him. Is like, I mean, that maybe that's part of it. Yeah, but I think that he thinks he deserves better. Um,
you can't. It's the same shit with we see it with Abdul Carter in the Giants, right? Dude has discipline issues and he doesn't get to play for a drive or two, but there needs to be consequences. It's a team game. You can't just play by your own rules and hope that that's going to be enough. If you're showing up late all the time, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in training, if you're fucking and I can't believe this is something that happened. If you're watching porn during a team meeting without headphones on, that happened with the Giants, not with Tottenham. Uh, There's got to be discipline. You just don't do that for a number of reasons, but like I don't know, these types of players who feel like they're entitled to something, they just don't sit right with me. I dislike any kind of entitlement. That's part of why I feel like Harry Kane was such a great role model because he was the type who, first on the pitch, last one to leave, practicing over and over when he was in the youth academy, even at some of his loan spells, he didn't look spectacular. He didn't look great, but he still kept showing up to do it. And you know what? Now that he's, over 30 and he's lighting it up in the Bundesliga in the one horse race that they've got there, do you think he's taking an easy track? I do still think he's showing up to these practices. He's, giving it his all. He's trying his hardest. That's the type of player that you want on your team.
and I think, well, yeah, that we've given him a lot of shit. Called him Florida man. I called him Kerry Hayne a couple of times, jokingly call him HK10. You know, but yeah, no, that's the type of player you need on your team, and that's the type of role model you need on your team. And we all know, and Harry will say himself that he was not blessed with incredible natural talent. It didn't come early for him, you know. Obviously, there was something that they saw in him to bring him into the academy at such a young age, right? But there's you when you have natural talent, you have to be able to build upon it. And when you don't have natural talent, you have to work twice as hard as everybody else to gain enough talent to actually have to work on the other things that you're not good at, right? I mean, it's just like when you don't have that natural talent, you have to build upon, build upon, build upon, build upon, build upon until all of your skills are not necessarily complete, but they're in a spot where you can utilize all your skills to make yourself a great player. I was not a naturally gifted athlete, and to tell you the truth, looking at some of my old high school football films that are on now on public access through the YouTube, um, I don't even know how I or anyone could have ever considered me a good player or a good athlete. Like I thought I was pretty fucking halfway decent, right? And I go and watch some of these games and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? I was not good at all. Um, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I really think that like Spurs are missing that kind of that piece of the puzzle, like somebody who's going to come in and lead the team and be that catalyst to, Romero kind of can be, but also Romero is one of those guys who's naturally gifted, right? He's one of those players. Mickey Van de Ven is naturally gifted.
Yeah,
Kudus is naturally gifted, but there are guys that have to work and have to work and have to work, and I think that we just don't have enough of those players to go out there and show them that I'm working. Like you don't have a Kobe Bryant on the team, right?
absolutely.
Like Kobe Bryant, there's numerous stories from different players who have played with him who have said, you know, I got to work at like 3 hours before practice, and Kobe was taking a shower because he'd already been practicing for 2 hours and then lifted weights for an hour before I got there to go to my practice. So Kobe, like he was one of those players who was naturally gifted and continued to work, which is why he was such a fucking killer, which is why he was such a different breed of animal as far as athletics go. Like you just don't
Absolutely.
see that in players.
Absolutely.
And
It is a
that's what makes
rarity
the great players is that they continue to work.
for sure. And I'm honestly, I'm thinking about there was a comment that I saw from, it was an MLS player. I want to say he was, with the Red Bulls, maybe talking about Messi and how, oh yeah, we were winning the game, and in the second half, Messi came out angry and just lit them up, and like that sort of fire, I think, is exactly what's lacking from a lot of our players, right? Like they don't get angry, they don't show up and you know what, we're down but we're going to turn this around. It almost feels like they've accepted the inevitable at times, but if ever there was a time to turn it around, I mean, we've got a couple of games that could be momentum building, right? We've got Prague coming up on
Especially like at home.
yeah, at home on Tuesday, and
Tuesday.
that should be a fantastic opportunity to build. I mean, they're top of the Czech league right now. They've got 18 games played already. So this is a team that's middle of their season. They're really pushing, or I don't even know how many games they've got over there, but they're already working hard and should have cohesion. They should know what they're doing right at this point in the season, even if it was a normal timetable league. They should know what they're doing, but it's a game that Spurs should win. And then at the weekend, away fixture at Nottingham. That one should be a challenge, but it's one that I think Spurs very much should rise up to, um, and continue the momentum. Whether or not that happens is a completely different story. I worry more about the Nottingham game than I do about Prague. I think Prague we get the win, but Nottingham worries me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll take these one at a time here. I mean, look, if you're looking at what is like, what's at stake here, like for Spurs, this game, like it kind of offers them that chance to kind of consolidate their position in the Champions League phase, right? In that league phase and maybe move closer toward a guaranteed qualification, like because there are a bunch of teams that are fighting for that automatic qualification spot, so that you don't have to play in, right? You don't have to play that extra game because the Champions League is fucking grueling, right? And you're playing against the best teams in the world. This is not the Europa League where the Europa League is definitely a tough competition, a very very tough competition. It's a little more physical, but it's a little more physically demanding. But when you're playing in the Champions League, that's a whole other animal, right? I mean, it's all the best players in the world are playing in the Champions League, so Prague is still like they're one of those teams that's still kind of chasing a first win, right? So they're obviously coming in as underdogs, and they're gonna throw everything but the kitchen sink, maybe even the kitchen sink in, because they've got at this point they have nothing to lose. Um, I don't expect Spurs to lose in that game, and and I think that you know we've talked about this in past episodes where Spurs have played pretty well in Champions League. We have one loss in Champions League, and it's to the fucking champions from last year, right? So one of the probably top three teams in the world right now. Um, so we have a strong record in Europe right now. I mean, and if you're looking at this, and this is a stat I'm going to throw at you, and you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm pretty sure this is true that Spurs are unbeaten in 22 home games in Europe. In the last 22 home games in Europe.
Huh? You never would
That's
have fucking
something
guessed.
that I saw, and I don't know if that's absolutely true. If I want to believe it, but like it's on the internet, so it's got to be fucking true, right? Um,
Absolutely, definitely not AI, right?
yeah, right. Like so in Europe, we tend to deliver. We tend to deliver on those things. Uh, but obviously, defensively we've shown some vulnerabilities. But like we've been talking about, the motivation for this should be pretty high. Um, we feel as fans that the team has started this turnaround. Hopefully, hit that kind of inflection point where they realize that yes, we can do this. Yes, this can be done. So, uh, uh, and obviously, this means another step closer toward that automatic qualification. So, like a win puts them pretty comfortable position, um, or at least maybe strong odds of qualifying, right? Um, but I think Prague is like I said, nothing to lose, everything to gain, kind of a situation. So um, cornered animals can be dangerous, right? But I think they're a team that tends to be pretty conservative. Um, and obviously they're not playing in one of the top leagues in the world. So I mean, do you feel you don't obviously you've said it, you don't feel that big they're gonna spring some sort of trap on us and this is a trap game and they're gonna surprise us with some, you know, maybe like a 1-0 scrappy type of win. I don't know. I think Spurs should fucking run through this pretty easily. We should win this going away.
Yeah, you would think so, but you know what they say, only time will tell. And Mike, we are coming up on time now. Um, so let's move on to some final thoughts here. Have you got anything that you would like to share with us before we depart?
Anything to share? Listen, man, get your holiday decorating done. It doesn't take that long.
'Tis the season.
Throw out all the old shit. I mean, um, get your holiday decorating done. It makes your house feel just that much better. So in my house, we celebrate Christmas. Um, and today, while I was out, I had a nice lunch with my kids and my mother. My mother drove up. Um, we went and did some shopping, and then we went out for a nice lunch and uh, came home. And my wife had put up the tree. We have a fake tree. Um,
Yeah, same.
like real trees are just too damn expensive. You get a fake tree for a couple $100. In our case, from the side of the road. Um, that's not even a joke. Um, Year after year, it pays itself off, right? Until it just starts to die. We have this tree sheds more needles than a real tree does at this point. So we're getting a new tree next year. But that said, I just if you just go for whatever holiday you celebrate, whether it's your faith holiday, whether it is your pagan holiday, whether you just want to celebrate Christmas and give everybody gifts and you're into Santa Claus and all that shit. Um,
Or Hanukkah. Let's not forget them.
yeah,
Kwanzaa.
Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, like any of those religious or cultural holidays, um, dress your house up. It makes you feel good. It just does. Like I said, we got the tree up, we got all the decorating done. The kid, like not the kids, but Lily took it upon herself to make sure she got all of the house decorated. Every room has decoration in it, and it just makes it feel comfortable and cozy. And when you sit down on a Sunday evening with you know, some good programming on the TV, it just makes everything feel better. It puts you in a mental headspace that is just fucking. It makes you feel awesome, even though Notre Dame got screwed out of the college football playoff.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I've got a bit of a seasonal final thought as well, although mine's a little less cheery and a little more what the fuck are people doing? And this only really pertains to folks in the colder climates, right? It drives me nuts that
Oh,
I
here we
have
go.
lived for so many years in Vermont, and every time you get that first snow, people completely forget what they're supposed to do on the road. And it's maddening. How do you live in a state where it snows like 8 fucking months out of the year and you don't know what you're doing when you see it? It's mind blowing. You get people, oh, I've got all wheel drive, so I can go 90 down the highway with low visibility and slick conditions. Yeah, I'll see you in the ditch in a few miles, asshole. It drives me nuts. And you know, oh well, I've got my truck. My truck's got 4-wheel drive. I can handle it. You know, I've got snow tires. I got this. I got that. Yeah, but you still drive like an asshole. You know, my car's front wheel drive. I do have snow tires, but I drive that car better than people in their fucking Subarus and Jeeps half the time. And then you get stuck in fucking traffic because some asshole went off the road when it could have been avoided. And then on the opposite end, you've got the people who are like, well, I need to get on the highway. I'm going to do 20 the whole time. There's a minimum on the highway for a reason. All right. You going that slow is going to cause an accident. You know, it's one thing if it's whiteout conditions and you cannot see, but if it's fucking flurries out there, it's ridiculous. If you don't feel safe to drive, don't drive. End of story. It can wait, you know, whatever it is, it can wait. And if it can't, that's your own fucking poor planning. You know, don't make it everybody else's problem. Drives me nuts. Every fucking year it happens. Every year.
Sounds like a guy from New Jersey who transplanted to Vermont.
It's just fucking wild, man. Look, like
I've given up. I've given up caring. I really have. You know, I used to. I
until you're
used to.
trying to get through fucking the traffic at the circle or whatever it is, and people are like, "Oh, what do I do?"
Yeah, it's kind of obnoxious. I do own a truck, but I also drive. I drive slowly. I drive safely, and you'll eventually get there.
Eventually,
Yep. And you know what? The best thing you can do if you're a driver who's not comfortable driving in snowy conditions is when you're out there and you're driving in those snowy conditions, turn your radio and all distractions off. It's nice because sometimes it's just very quiet and it's relaxing and
that too.
it helps you get through it. I love it. I love turning the radio right off. No distractions.
My favorite is when I go to make a turn and you know nobody's come through to clear the road, so you've got like that like nice little slush that's building up, and I get to just you know fucking Tokyo drift my car when I'm making a turn. That does make me happy. But there are people who will drive with me and they're like, you know, white knuckling, like, oh my God, what are you doing? It's like, look, my car is front wheel drive. The back is not going to help me turn. So I need to like do this properly.
For
It's a good
sure.
time.
There
It's
you
a good
go.
time.
So
But
Steve, you
yeah.
know, as we're signing off tonight, you got any words of wisdom for us?
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, of course, is coys, 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 coys.
And
Just don't be an asshole. Mike, what would you like to leave us with?
you know, guys, just what Steve was saying. You know, it's snowy out there. I just want everybody to go out there and be safe. And of course, as always, protect your mental health and make sure Steve's mental health is right where it should be. So just
Yeah, right
drive
on the
safe on the
cusp of
highway.
insanity, but not, past it.
Drive safe on the highway for Steve.
Please.
Please.
And
Up the fucking Spurs.